Meaning behind the music selection this morning. Just happened to be on. I was like, all right, I'll play it.
I like the video of a walk through the world of cows. Good morning, Skylar.
Yeah, I realized we didn't get all the way through this one last time, and it kind of goes. Even though we showed part of it last time, it goes with today's topic, and just stopping to observe animals and what you will see and what you will consequently learn by stopping to observe. And what is today's topic, Jack?
The um, the assumption in our mainstream human culture is that we are the most intelligent species in the planet, and we're going to poke into that assumption with our usual science-based logic and precision, which I want to talk about too. Like, what is science and how does it prove things? And I'm a big fan of science, but I also have critiques.
Yeah, we're going to get to some of those critiques. I have a few of my own. We have Lynn Klein and an honest doubter greeting us. And I want to encourage people to type in or even call in with examples that they've experienced in which you just stopped and observed and were a little bit amazed that you hadn't noticed it before, or that an animal taught you something, or even a study that you found particularly absurd that humans have engaged in.
Meaning that we people who really are drawn to animals and spend time with them and observe them see them do really impressive things that I at least would call smart or intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we got a three panel here. There's a book that I recommend. I think Jack started flipping through it when we talked about the topic for today. Are we smart enough to know how smart animals are? And, kind of goes to what you said. We spend so much time sitting on a throne that we've given to ourselves and appointing ourselves as being the most intelligent that I guess, at least myself, I'll speak for myself, grew up with the assumption that we were the most intelligent and almost, or at least from certain adults, uh, the idea that other animals aren't intelligent, or at least not as intelligent as us. I mean, some adults go so far as to say that animals can't think because it makes them uncomfortable to believe that they can.
I remember reading an article in the New York Times when I was like 12 or 13 or 14, and it rated the intelligence of dogs. Now, of course, dogs we know can do incredible tricks and perform and herd sheep and things like that we have them do. But what I remember was my suspiciousness of this New York Times science-based article that was ranking the dogs on their intelligence based how much they could be trained by humans,
Hmm.
how well they could do elaborate tricks or whatever. And I forget which breed it was, maybe German Shepherd, but someone who really, a dog species that really we could get to do elaborate things. That was how smart they were, like the Westminster Dog Show. It's impressive what they can do. And I'm not saying dogs aren't highly intelligent, but there's such a bias in how we determine who's
Right,
smart.
right. That by itself is unfair. You've decided that another species is intelligent based upon criteria that your own species set forth. And you mentioning dogs, I wanted to say up front to everybody, it's going to be hard not to do a show just about the relationship between humans and dogs and what I've observed there and how terrible and stupid and clueless we are with an animal that we're supposedly connected to. And
And yeah,
at the opposite extreme of an animal we're familiar with, in my world, is an animal that most of us don't spend any time with and are very disconnected from, and that's sharks. And I observed intelligence in sharks, and I was like, my God, how am I ever going to get people to accept this when we won't accept the intelligence of mammals?
let me give you one example of the intelligence of dogs versus the intelligence of humans. And this is me in this case being the idiot, living in New York with actually, I didn't own a dog because I was out of my apartment a ton, and I just knew it was not going to be good for the dog. So it was girlfriends that I had fell in love with. They're mostly golden retrievers, In any case, yellow Labradors actually. But I was out walking the dog on the streets of Manhattan, and for anybody who's lived in that city, like any major city, but especially New York, you go outside with the dog on the leash and you're on the sidewalk, and immediately the dog is sniffing everything, especially, of course, the urine of other dogs that's all over the sidewalk,
Mm,
trees, buildings, everywhere. And I'm a busy, intelligent human, and I'm trying to get to work or get to
right.
the park to walk
Right.
the dog. Like, come on, move it, Rocky, or whatever. And Rocky is just like totally like, God, come on. And I'm irritated because the
Hmm.
dog is doing some dumb thing
Hmm.
when actually, of course, the dog is incredibly sensitive with its scent and is picking up so much information that I'm completely oblivious to because I'm so smart and engaged in other mental activity.
Indeed. Something I observe of people walking their dogs all the time, I say, is this really a dog walk? Because what the dog wants doesn't seem to be factoring in very much. And and then you have the people that strictly forbid a dog from sniffing because they, as the superior species, have decided that it's not allowed to. And your entire goal as the superior species is to instill what you want and make the other species obey you.
I like to
It,
call it DNC, dominate and control.
yeah,
Whee!
I another example from dog walkers are humans that don't even look at their dogs to get clues about what's happening. The people that I think are becoming more and more frequent are the ones who just announce outright that their dog isn't friendly or their dog isn't good with other dogs, or I'm sorry, my dog is a bad dog, and never once look down at their dog with the eyes pleading and the tail wagging with the desire to socialize, which is what they're meant to do as pack animals. And they just interpret that need, that desire to be something negative, which by itself is really dumb. Just for humans to jump to the conclusion that what our best friends, the species that we human beings have decided are going to live in our homes with us, with our children, and be our best friends, simultaneously, once they're out on a walk, can't wait to kill things that they come across. They talk about our species being stupid.
Yeah, well, to your point, even though we live with these, I mean, clearly we love dogs and live with them. They're probably the most loved species, right? That have lived with us for so long, but we are so divorced from their reality for the most part. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, and times when everybody connects with their dog and is into what they're doing, but usually what you say, they're walking the dog, they're on their phone talking to somebody, or the dog is pulling on the leash and they're not paying attention. I mean, God, I watched my sweet old mother who loved her dog, Nellie, or and it was just like Nellie was like pulling on the leash, and she had one of these 20-foot extender cords, and Nellie was if she had a 40-foot cord, she'd be at the end of the 40-foot cord, and the dog wanted to move, and my mom was a little old lady and couldn't move with the dog, and it was like, look, they love each other and they have a bond, but it pained me to watch it because I
Yeah,
was looking at what the dog wanted. It was not what my mother was doing with Nellie,
no,
and she loved her. I mean, that's kind of the weird irony. She really loved the dog. I mean, welcome to our world of humans, and it extends
yeah.
far beyond dogs too, of course.
Well, dogs learn despite the fact that we're bad teachers, and that's a sign of intelligence to me. Like, people are not good teachers. Look at the methods people use when they're supposedly training a dog or teaching a dog, screaming loudly in our own language repeatedly.
Oh, did you see? I think it's called Buck. The name of the documentary. It was about a horse trainer that supposedly the book or the movie, the screenplay, The Horse Whisperer, was based on. It came out, I don't know, like 7, 8 years ago. It's a really wonderful documentary, and to your point again, that's why I thought of it. People come to him to get help with their horse, and of course is this he's not a touchy-feely guy, he's just matter of fact, but has a strong connection to horses, of course, and horses, of course, and of course that horse um, isn't the problem. It's the human who's disconnected from what the horse needs and how to tune into it, and he
Yeah.
ends up teaching, he's training the human, of course, is what's going on. A
Hmm.
really wonderful documentary film, 90 minute. It won some awards and got attention and notice from Robert Redford, who directed the movie The Horse Whisperer. Do you know what I'm talking about? Buck, I think it was called, Buck.
Yeah, I didn't. I assumed it would piss me off, so I didn't watch it.
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, of course, you get angry at the people, but thank God for this guy who's. I mean, I really warmed to him, even though he wasn't a huggy, cuddly guy, but deeply connected to animals and doing the best to be patient as he could with his clients who were paying them to help, and he was helping the horses really.
Corinne knows what you're talking about, but you also have that Cesar or whatever, the dog whisperer, and like the things he comes up with is just like basic common sense that humans aren't willing to participate in. Corinne says, speaking of pissing me off, she's saying, I'm watching Chimp Empire. I don't think I could handle that.
What is that?
And an honest doubter says, yeah, let your pets be wildlife. So I'm guessing there's a little bit of attitude in there. Honest doubter, last week I was trying to remember who it was that felt so strongly about the pet human owner slave or whatever relationship, and I'm going to do an episode dedicated to this. I don't know, Jack, you down with doing that next week?
Oh, I was going to make a bid for. I didn't get a chance to talk to you before the show about because I just saw Gertie the cow again, and I have some wonderful video to show of me with her and some other people with her, and I don't know whether we can tie it in or whether that's a separate show, but whatever. I mean, I pushed on this one, so you get
we can tie it in.
Yeah.
Anyway, is that you, honest doubter? I'm just curious if that's you. We'll try and.
And also, I know Ray Cooper, who should be coming on joining us later, who's a regular listener and a vegan activist of sorts, and the maker of World Peace Chocolate. He doesn't have a dog, and if it were up to him, dogs would not be owned or controlled by humans. I mean, the extreme. I admire him for it. I don't necessarily agree for a whole bunch of practical reasons, but I get his point. Don't domesticate any animal. Let them all be wild. And I think if I read Honest Doubter right, well, how does that work exactly? Don't be ridiculous. So it's an interesting discussion.
Right. It is. And it's no, I don't. You didn't make the comment last week. I was asking. I don't think you were on last week, honest doubter. Anyway.
We move on to a special cow named Veronika in Austria. Does that work, or you have something else you want to show?
Yeah, we're almost there. Here's an overview of some of the themes today. The opening video. Here's a couple of examples from my own world that are very, very simple. But that calf baby at the beginning of this show that was days old, like 2 to 2.5 weeks, was born, taken from the baby's mother, had to try and understand, make sense of the nightmare that it was going through, was not allowed to engage in instinctive behaviors such as cuddling or suckling. And still, in that time, during the days that a human would still be, helplessly laying on its back, shitting itself, learned that the creature that came to it with a bottle, which doesn't look anything like a mom, was bringing food.
Or smell like a mom, or taste like a mom, or feel like a mom.
Right. A piece of plastic that goes into a metal holder. And I went and visited, and when that doughy-eyed, beautiful baby backed into its little plastic container, because it's like, wait, is this one going to hurt me? I mean, God knows what these ranchers and their near slave level employees do to these animals. But once it realized I wasn't going to hurt her, she came out and started licking the metal bars of the thing that holds her food in order to say, I'm hungry. Put something in here where I get food. Days, this animal's days old. And you might not be blown away by that. And it's not like it did a physics problem, but it's days old and figured out this object it's not familiar with means food and knows what holds the thing that provides the food. Not only did it adapt to the hell that we put it into, but still learned during that traumatic process. Now, my sweet, wonderful April who also was rescued, her first hike ever,
A dog. Your
a
dog.
dog.
Okay.
I, somewhere along the hike, must have pulled my water bottle out and drank out of it. We stopped at a spot on a rock to rest, and I sit the backpack down. She goes over, starts scratching at my water bottle. She wanted a drink of water. I gave her some water. How fast was that? An animal just observed something and said, "Oh, I get it. I get it. I can hear water. It looks like that animal's drinking. That thing must contain water. If I scratch at that thing, maybe I can get some." Again, does it blow your mind? I don't know. It's a fairly complex thought process for another species that has to familiarize itself with things that are in our world. Of course, we know what a water bottle is. Imagine never having seen one before and having to figure it out on your own.
Well, yeah, it's funny as you say that. I'm just thinking now. See person with object, colored object, going like this to mouth. They don't know what's in it. They don't know what a water bottle is. Whether it's smell of water or going to your mouth was like, oh, that is consumption of this thing that I need too. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on there. Corinne, I love that you said I highly recommend the Shark Whisperer. I've done full response to that on my Shark channel. I know those people, Ocean and One. Boy, we should do a show about that. But thank you for mentioning that. I'm about to talk about sharks, as a matter of fact. And honest doubter, I want to acknowledge your comment. I agree with you.
Read it. Pets equals breeders and caging a wild creature in man's insane world.
Again, human beings create this scenario where, like, well, if I don't rescue it, it's going to be in this situation that's even worse. And we can apply that to everything. It's like rescuing farm animals. If you don't rescue the farm animal, then it's going to be in the hell of the factory farm, especially a dairy mom, because the hell doesn't end. You know, they keep using her over and over and over again. Anyway, we'll get into that. I really want to do a dedicated show on that because I do agree with you.
And one last comment that Honest Doubter wrote, if I may.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. You read it.
Aldous Huxley, Brave New World, said apes can use tools and interact with things that are, quote unquote, in front of them. They just can't imagine use of tools or concepts that are unseen or not in front of them. And that I don't know whether I agree with that, because how would you prove that that is true? How do you know what an ape is thinking that it isn't articulating in our language? I mean, maybe it's true, but just those kind of. I've got some scientific abstracts set aside for the show, which I find so fascinating. Highly intelligent humans who write with complex scientific jargon, and at the same time, I think they're in other ways complete idiots, because the assumptions for me are, well, how did you make that assumption? Why are you starting from that place? And I'm just applying common sense. I'm certainly no scientist, and I'm not a brainiac. But
well, how do we even prove that the human didn't start thinking about the tool until it saw the stick? It's like, oh shit, look at the shape of that. Maybe I could do this. I mean, is there any proof that humans were sitting in the darkness of a cave and imagined a tool? The human was probably looking at something that visually stimulated the next thought in the process.
And there's a bigger point to be made here, which I want to make a few times through this little 1 hour show we're doing here today, or whatever we're going to do. We don't know how intelligent an animal is when it does something that we can't perceive.
Correct.
We only perceive in a narrow band of things that we can perceive with our five senses or conceptualize. And I was just reading something about elephants. You know, they were well known, they have telepathic abilities miles away. Some elephants do so-and-so. And then I read the scientific paper that said, well, it's because elephants have incredibly sensitive hearing, incredibly sensitive smell through their trunks, and incredibly sensitive feet. So they can feel vibrations in the grounds and make pounding noises with their massive weight, which sends vibrations for miles, which other elephants pick up. But we only recently discovered that. Mm-hmm. So what other things do animals do that are beyond our senses? And we haven't yet made scientific observations about them, so we assume they don't have these abilities. Again, assumptions, starting points.
Yeah. We got to talk about the phrase "just as." Like in the first years of me being a vegan, I made a few videos talking about how humans use the "it's just a"
Oh, yeah.
phrase.
Right.
It's just a this, it's just a that, as if there's a full explanation that comes along with that.
Give me an example.
Oh, if you want to treat something like shit, you say it's just a cow, it's just a pig, even it's just a dog,
Just a chicken. Just a
it's
bird.
just a chicken, it's just a Muslim, it's just a black person, it's just a white person, it's just a wild animal.
Just an instinct. Another one. Refencing. Oh, it's not intelligence. That's just instinct.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I actually have that down.
Okay.
That's comforting to people. You see something when you actually finally see like some, oh shit, that looks like thinking. I'd better call it instinct. And which, by the way, we have. Well, here, let me throw. Before I forget, Corinne brought up the sharks. During my time filming sharks, I saw adaptive strategy changes when they were trying to get the bait that was next to the boat. And yes, I know dragging bait is a kind of a non-vegan type thing to do. It's how you got tourists to be able to see great white sharks without it being a bad situation. Because
You were doing this to film for your documentary?
I started doing that in 2004. I've been filming great white sharks for a very, very long time. So the origins and where I ended up are different.
Yeah.
But there were some that had learned to use the glare on the water. Somehow they figured out that whoever was pulling the bait wouldn't be able to react in time, depending on what the surface conditions were. They even also would come from directly under the boat. There was one that would only do it if another shark was going by, as if they understood that there was going to be a distraction. And indeed, and I have footage of this. I did an entire video about it. It's called Meet Blackgill over on my shark channel. You guys should really watch it. Another shark is there, and everybody's like keeping an eye on that shark because your focus is on making sure that shark doesn't get the bait. We're not trying to feed the sharks. The goal is to get them interested, but not reward them with the food source. And every time that happened, this shark blackgill would come erupting straight from the bottom while we're all looking over here.
It learned how to get what it wanted. Right.
Yeah.
Outthink the humans.
And another form is, there's a lot of people that have been called shark whisperers, and some of them, not the one in the documentary that Corinne's referring to, but there are people that remove hooks from sharks, and the sharks have to come to a decision. They have to have realized, okay, I experienced pain from that person interacting with me, but I get what that other creature's trying to do, and actually choose, buccal pumping sharks actually choose to sit still in the lap of one of these people, Christina Zanato, and remove hooks. You have to go against your instinct. This is thinking overriding instinct, because you feel pain and your instinct is to get away from that, right? On an animalistic level, they make a decision. I'm going to sit through the pain for the reward. Now, for a fish, people really have a problem with fish being intelligent. Because why? Well, we treat fish really poorly. Which brings me to one of our categories, the need for animals not to be smart. Well, you start acknowledging what they're capable of and what's really going on here and even here, you start to feel pretty shitty about how we treat these things. So you'd better just deny all of that. Just tune it out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's where you and I really align. Like, yeah, if we treat them like objects, they're not smart and they don't have feelings, then it's easier to treat them abusively. Would you scroll back the comments? Chris Cedar, good morning, has joined us, and she wrote something I really connected with. It's a simple little sentence, but it's another way of saying what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Oh, thank you. You found it. That was quick. I've always thought we don't know what we don't know about animal intelligence.
Yeah.
So we start out with these assumptions of if they can use tools. I mean, we were taught in grade school or high school, we have opposable thumbs, we have a larger, frontal lobe, we have language, linguistics, all of which is true and makes us highly intelligent. Fine. But the issue I have in a word is but that we think that makes us of superior intelligence rather than a different kind of intelligence. And Honest Outer throws in, I'm sure there are exceptions, but I'm just saying animals cannot hold mental concepts as well as humans. That's the main difference in his opinion. And I would agree with that. But does that make, here's the question, folks. Because we can hold concepts, perhaps, assuming you make, and I'm going to make that's an assumption, not an assertion, that we hold mental concepts better than other animals, does that make us smarter? And if you say it does, why? Why is that the thing to be valued as the higher intelligence rather than a different intelligence?
Hmm. Who really knows much about anything? No, I'm serious. In one of my shark videos, they were talking about, oh, we still need to learn all this about sharks, and oh, the mystery of the shark, and we can't save the shark unless we learn this. And I counter that by showing how much we have studied sharks. And then I stopped and I was like, wait a minute, what do we know about deer? Deer are right next to us on land.
Yes, and I'll go you one better. This is the land of Honest Doubter. I know him a little bit. What do we know about ourselves?
What do we know about ourselves? What do we know about our best friends, dogs?
What about ourselves? How we operate and how we, who we are and how we function. And he said also holding mental. I agree with this too. Holding mental concepts. We have what a wonderful audience today. Holding mental concepts is a curse. It also blocks reality as it actually is. So, and I would say, my opinion, to play off what you started there, is a blessing and a curse at the same time. It is a blessing. It's an amazing ability to imagine something in the future. I was taught this by a spiritual philosophical teacher, and we can imagine things and then work in the physical world to create that reality. We can do that in amazing ways, but simultaneously, it's a curse because it takes us out of the present moment. We get lost in thought and daydreaming and gone. It's a powerful tool, but it's not always great. You spend all your time in your head, you're not living this life, and you lose out on a huge amount of, well, what life actually is, which is the here and now.
Yeah. Like Corinne says, we're missing out on so much beauty by shortchanging animals' intelligence. We can learn so much from them and enjoy them. This is where a lot of the learning begins, though, is with the selfish desire to enjoy, or at least I've been guilty of that because I do enjoy nature and I do enjoy wildlife. And every now and then, when we as humans stop acting like we have to get somewhere to do one of our really important things, and you actually stop and look and enjoy, this is the beginning of learning because you then realize, oh, that's not random. This is, I'm watching purpose unfolding before my eyes. And just because we've never stopped to look at it before doesn't mean that that pursuit of purpose wasn't always happening.
Stopping and smelling the roses, proverbially, right?
Corinne, thank you so much. I was actually going to give a shameless request if people could send some gas money. I need to get back to Point Reyes to continue my project. So, continuing
Oh
with the
hell, will you
shameless.
just send Skylar $100? What the gas money, man? Jeez, you are so humble and like, oh, if I had $10 and two nickels, I could run. It's like if someone out there in the audience feels appreciative of Skyward today, just send the guy $100, and then he'll do gas and more with it. He'll make film.
Yeah, you can send it to the tax deductible link. You don't have to do a super chat or whatever is convenient for you. Now let me get through my second list here. We started touching on this religion's role in that there's I think that there might be a need inside of human beings to not think animals are that intelligent because from my Christian upbringing, I heard a lot about how special we were, made in God's image. God sent his only son for us to die for our sins so that we could have eternal life. I mean, it's all about us. Us, 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 us.
Center of the universe. Yeah.
If we start to acknowledge other creatures as being similar to us in some ways, being almost as intelligent as us in some ways, then you start having these side thoughts like, well, what about them? Are they not important? Do they not have souls? Do they not deserve love and mercy and caring the way Jesus says that we all deserve? Stop telling me how amazing these creatures are, or I'll start to lose my own self worth, which is a pathetic insecurity that we human beings have. You know, the need to believe that we're the superior species or special reeks of somewhere inside not actually believing that. Because you can be superior and still be kind and gracious to other creatures and embrace that they also are intelligent.
Didn't was it Saint Francis, the original Saint Francis, do that? He was connected to animals, so I'm told. I mean, I'm I'm not a Bible study guy, to put it mildly. I wasn't raised following any religion, um, but there were saints who were particularly sensitive to animals and connected with them in a way that, defy the tenets of religion, organized religion, Christianity that you're explaining.
I'm going to throw something on the screen and I'll make it bigger. The reason I'm doing this goes back to the point I was just making about people needing to believe that we're different. It's so much so that people got angry with me when I was. Have you noticed? You probably even participated in it without meaning to. When we talk about animals, well, we're talking about other things. We're not talking about ourselves. And it's a tendency, it's a habit. But we are, in fact, all animals. And I've tried to point that out to people. And some people get really upset, like
Yeah.
really upset. Don't put me in that category. People, human beings created the classification system that makes us be animals.
Yeah.
We're the ones who did it.
Yeah.
We're in the animal kingdom. We are mammals, primates, hominids, sapiens. That's our classification system. It's not like another species trying to put us down.
It's all made up. It's all conceptual. It's all abstract. I mean, it's brilliant in a way, but it's also idiotic in another way at the same time. Aren't native peoples, from what little I understand about native peoples, I don't claim to be a academic or experiential expert on native peoples, but animals were brothers and sisters. And it didn't mean some tribes or many tribes would eat them or use them or whatever, but they were considered brothers and sisters, not lesser than, is my understanding. It wasn't as hierarchical as European society labels them, right?
You know, I think Chitkus, who appeared in my Shame and Point Reyes film, said, you know, our four-legged friends, our four-legged brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I'll take that at least as an improvement of speaking them with affection and respect, as opposed to disgust and lock them up in slaughterhouses for human consumption unnecessarily. Why don't? And Chris asks, why don't we imagine more than one playing field with regard to judging intelligence? Exactly.
Yeah, that's another sign of our lack of intelligence, if anything.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so. The book title you started the show with, for me, I just rephrase it as, we think we're so much smarter, which proves we're really not, or which proves we're really dumb. And I do have, I do want to, even if it's briefly, get to.
We're going to. We absolutely. Oh wow! Look, more people are donating. Thank you. Wow. Ask and I shall receive.
Well, there's a lesson. Yeah, thanks, Honest Adder. There's
I
a
don't
lesson
like
for
doing
Tyler.
it.
He's not comfortable asking. Yeah, but oh wow, and Chris, thank you. 19.99, a special offer today, only 19.99. Thank you, Chris. Very sweet.
Real quick, Jack, because this is actually going to set you up. I got one more of these graphics here.
Yeah, we're good. I don't
Jack was inspired. Jack pushed for this for today based on a stupid study or a stupid revelation. And I wanted to share with people some studies that I can't get out of my brain because I spent a lot of time speaking with scientists and analyzing during the shark stuff.
These are conclusions of the studies you found?
These are real.
So meaning these were inferences that then they get financed to do a scientific study to prove the assumption that predators may prefer not to be seen, and that another supposition, is that the word in the scientific method, a supposition or prey experience stress. Let's see if we can prove that scientifically. And then the final one is this, I assume, for humans, going to the beach is pleasant. Prove or disprove.
These are all real.
Oh God. It's you could do just to show just the links on those and the abstracts and then the data sets, and they'll have very impressive pie charts and graphs proving, as I like to say about the Science Times, that water is wet. We have proven it conclusively. Oh boy.
Okay, so Jack, do you want to show the video, or do you want to show the
Yeah. Run a little bit of that video. We can talk over it or not, but it's people. This was in the news for some reason. It hit a chord in society. So a friend, John August, sent an article in the Guardian about this is Veronika, an Austrian pet cow. Of course, she's got a giant chain around her neck, I guess, so they can lead her around by her neck. But she seems to have I don't know whether she's a working animal or animal being worked, which is abused. But anyway, as you can see in that picture here on the underneath,
this is Veronika.
Do you want the video bigger or the study bigger?
Let's look at Veronika. People, either so that's the same video, but she's using a broomstick to scratch herself, and the really incredible revelation that sent scientists running to her farm to study her intelligent behavior was she could use different ends of the same tool, the broomstick, either the pointy wooden end or
brown bee cow,
or the brush end.
And Veronika uses tools.
Wow, look at the use of that tongue.
Right. So dexterous in a way that we're not with our tongue, but it's a quote-unquote dumb cow for many people standing in a field, but she's learned how to scratch different parts of her body.
She's 13 years old and lives in the southern countryside of Austria. She lived with her mother for 3 years, and within her first year living alone, she developed this ability by herself. The goal of her study was to test.
So you mentioned the chain, and I had to mention the slave tags, the ownership tags in the ears.
Yep.
And I started immediately wondering, and I hope you have the answer because I didn't find out, how old this animal is, how long this animal's been allowed to even be alive, which it was in my list, my little Blackboard list of things to talk about. How many animals even get to develop in the way that we get to develop? Because obviously our intelligence, or at least behavior that seems to indicate that we're intelligent changes over time. We get to interact with our surroundings. We get to have experiences. We get to learn by failure. We get to learn by experimenting. A lot of these animals live as prisoners and don't get to develop shit. And still more of them are killed while they're still babies. It's like, what kind of cognitive display are you planning on being wowed by from a slave prisoner who dies, I don't know, some of them days old, some of them weeks, some of them a couple of years. I mean, the best case scenario is a few years old with, cattle.
Before they're killed for food, for their flesh.
Killed as part of the actual plan of the industry.
Right.
Get big fast so we can kill you, and the next one will be ready to be killed shortly after.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing in appropriately so, the vegan perspective, which is, wait a second, look at that. Corinne said, she's so beautiful. Thank you, Corinne. Oh, yeah, beautiful animal. Here I am talking the stupidity of our science. She's learned to scratch herself, in other words, as Skyward said.
Her use of tools
stuck in that pasture as a slave family.
Repetitive,
and of course, domesticated cows through generations of domestication. So it's not a wild animal anymore.
We tested her during 7 sessions.
I do want to focus on science before the show ends here today.
We offered her an asymmetrical tool.
Would you show the other frame there, which says current biology?
Scrap brass broom. We predicted that
it's underneath me, and as I'm seeing it on the quad here, it's this.
Okay, I'm going to make that bigger.
Great, thank you. Great. So there's what's interesting. This is Current Biology, a Cell Press journal, a scientific journal. I don't know it, but I tripped into it here and doing a little research without AI. So there's the video. They call it a video abstract, which is the video you were showing, which is on YouTube. And this is Veronika, the Swiss cow. You can search her pretty easily now. She's kind of famous. And then there's the written abstract, the main text. So I love this stuff for its brilliant stupidity, or its stupid brilliance. Well, so they write, if I may, it's kind of like a George Carlin, and there's a funnier one later, but to test its flexibility, we placed an asymmetrical tool in front of Veronika, a deck scrub broom, whose orientation was semi-randomized across trials. That's my phone going off, sorry. Use supplemental information. We hypothesized that she would target difficult to reach body regions and use the more effective brushed end over the stick end. And then, of course, because they're scientists, we recorded 76 instances of self-directed tool use over 7 sessions of 10 trials each. Veronika manipulated the tool with her mouth, using the tongue to lift and position the broom before securing it laterally in the diastema between the incisors and molars. Oh, fancy words. They must be smart scientists. Creating a stable grip that allowed precise control of the distal end. As predicted, I'm almost done. She applied the tool exclusively to regions on the rear half of her body, the rump, loin, thurl, new word, kids, for most, udder, and navel flap, areas difficult to reach otherwise. Moreover, she used the brushed end to scratch her body more than the stick end, demonstrating goal-directed, context-sensitive tooling, which, of course, you know, Skylar, being a science guy yourself, it can be expressed as x squared equals 5.13, which is a differential of 1, and I have no idea what the hell p stands for, but that is 0.0.23. And the event duration did not differ between tool ends. So the time was 0.097, the differential was 67.1, and the p, whatever that is, maybe that's PEE, equals 0.92. Is that not impressive? Aren't we smart? A scientific abstract by people who are way smarter than me with this stuff, but also frickin' morons in the common sense department. Have you got to be kidding me? My opinion.
It's not that science. I'm trying to say something nice, and it's so hard.
And I don't know whether you want to throw in some comments, but I found some more stuff that makes that seem like a kindergarten nursery rhyme.
Right. Well, it's not that science is not valuable. It's not that there isn't something, but man, sometimes.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. And for anybody who's going to write, I mean, this was taken out of account. Oh, so you're anti-science, Jack? No, I'm extremely pro-science. But
here's the direction we're going. You saw my film Monsters and the horror that's taking place, and humans just keep recategorizing. It's like, oh, well, it's not this species, or oh, well, it's not listed as endangered. So, or, the direction we're going is that as an animal dies fighting for its life trapped in a net underwater, scientists are going to start counting the tail flaps to decide whether or not it was truly in distress if it was dying.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some great aphorism or quip somebody has about science, which is it's the closest I can come up with the top of my head is it's said about statisticians: figures don't lie, but liars can figure. So science is great stuff, but a lot of awful people will abuse science to their ends and justify anything with scientific jargon. And we see that all the time as activists, scientific abstracts proving that the Douglas fir trees, are invasive and need to be killed. And there's no science in it all, but it's wrapped in pseudoscience, a veneer of science. So we're not anti-science, folks. Just know that, and not at all.
Before you do your next screen, let me be interactive with some comments.
Please.
This is also after they have been genetically selected for meat and milk production as well, which I take from that. You're saying they're lesser forms of what they could have been. We're not seeing the genetic peak. We're not looking at the best representation of any of these species while we're still being wowed by their intelligence.
Yeah.
It's almost as if we've forced them to be the dumbest version of themselves because of, the fact that we're turning them into commodities instead of living creatures, or attempting to. We got a few more things.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please feel free to read this one.
So, Red Farmer, thank you. I don't know who you are. Thanks for
read Honest Outer on the screen, and then we'll go to Red Farmer.
Okay. To Huxley, back to Adolf Huxley's point, they placed the tool, quote unquote, in front of her. So would she have gathered the tool herself for this purpose without it being given? And that goes back to, where is she being kept? What does she has access to? I guess she got hold of a broom because some guy was out there, or she was wandering into a stable where there was a broom available to her. But these domesticated cows are all come from, in my understanding, Asian water buffalo. What do they have access to in the wild before humans took them as domesticated animals and changed them dramatically?
Okay, this one, read it.
As a vegan, you should know when Joseph Poor, Max Roser, and Thomas Nemechek are. Oh, I should know who those are. There's no conceivable way to feed the world's population without animal agriculture and fishing industry. Oh, so thank you, Red Farmer. I appreciate your showing up. I'm assuming by your moniker there, you're a farmer, and you're arguing that we need to eat animals to feed humans. That is I guess I would completely disagree with you respectfully, and we should probably do a show on it and get into some of the stats about it. Throw another comment up if you want. I mean, if you have something there, but that's a whole big topic because you're.
Yeah, I mean, someone else has been commenting that it's most.
Oh, I welcome it. It's
the most efficient way. I mean, like it's the opposite of efficient, and there's no conceivable way. Like the way that I'm eating and am healthy, it's not conceivable.
So you and I are going to have different styles. And anyway, I just want to, for me, like Red Farmer, I really appreciate someone who doesn't agree with us coming on and throwing out something that we disagree with. It's wonderful.
Sure, but I want to harp on the word conceivable.
Well, how about this? As you have said before, Skylar, and I would say this to Red Farmer, and of course we have the advantage of the microphone here, and you've got just a few texts, so I'm aware of that inequity, but you have to feed a huge amount of vegetable plant crops to a cow or to a pig or even to a chicken, grain, to fatten it so that we get calories from that animal. And that is wildly inefficient, meaning you can feed it, I don't know, it depends on the animal, but 10 times, let's say, as a conservative estimate, the amount of plant foods directly to people like Skylar and me who only eat plant foods, rather than 10 times that amount to an animal that's going to take, depending on the animal, a year or 2 or 6 months to get to market. So, and then the land to put them on, and then the water. I mean, it's just remarkable.
Here's a different approach to that. And that's me to say there's no conceivable way for the earth to survive continuing to pursue this idea that 8 billion people have the same diet as lions who were never meant to reach a population of 8 billion. Yeah. We're pretending we're populating like producers while eating like apex predators. That doesn't work.
Also, yeah, I agree. Red Farmer says calories is not a good metric, and I would say, well, it's one metric, and it's an important metric. But yeah, it's nutrients as well. Of course, it's not just calories because Coke is calories, but not food. But then you also say all non-vegans are trolls. I don't even that sounds like you're on our side of it. I don't understand that comment. Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in this.
Well, John pointed out that Veronika is 13. Thank you for that information.
Oh, John August. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in, John. And if you can answer in that article, I think you're the one that sent me the article in The Guardian to make aware me about her presence in the first place. But, is she a retired dairy cow? Is she there for some other purpose? I'd be curious what her story is, just on a Skylar's personal level, what her story is.
Red Farmer, why don't I just go and see what the White House press secretary said today and accept that as truth?
Well, and for me, I mean, Chris says, Red Farmer, you need to be smarter at lighting gas. I mean, I really don't. I just as soon. I was inspired once by a black radio host in New York City, BAI, I think it was the radio station, and some guy came on and it was clearly really racist and really going at him. And he really held his ground. It was wonderful. He was sane in the face of somebody really been nasty, and engaged with him. Not everybody's wired to do that. I am, and I find it really interesting. So I don't know that he's gaslighting us. He might actually believe what he's saying. That's my sense of it, and it's for another show.
Or we're not, or there's a huge dose of sarcasm that we're not picking up.
I don't know. I want to go back to the stuff I wanted to share because it's friggin' hilarious. So there's a nature. In fact, I'm going to go right to the thing I want to make sure I get in because I just loved it so much. If I may, back up on the screen there. So this is Nature magazine. This is Cracking the Code of Elephant Communication. And this is the thing I was talking about. A recent discovery is that much of elephant language exists in a range that humans can't even hear. I mean, that can be said about dogs too. And dogs, what they can smell. But elephants.
Don't they even use stomach grumblings?
The deepest sounds we can hear, the grunts or rumbles of elephants, are just the mild overtones of low-frequency sound from 1 to 20 hertz, which is below the level of human hearing. Such sounds are so low and powerful, they travel unhampered for miles through forest, allowing elephants to send messages and warnings over long distances. These powerful, distant traveling sounds are critical in helping males find females for breeding. Researchers say these infrasonic calls enable elephants to reunite with friends and family members. And then they go on to try to, translate what it might mean with our simple little language. But I didn't know that about elephants. Elephant people probably would. But for how many years did we assume, well, we didn't know this stuff? And then more importantly, extrapolating into the future, that animals communicate in ways we just are completely oblivious to. How Canada geese can fly in a phalanx. And they've been doing studies now to find out how their, in effect, radar systems work, that they can fly thousands of miles in these incredible, complex and dynamically moving formations. Wildly intelligent in ways we can't begin to understand or imitate. And please make a comment if you want, but then I want to get to Scientific American. I've got this article, and then I'm done, sir. But if I may, Scientific American, why are some animals so smart? And the only part I wanted to read about this one is, even though we humans write the textbooks and may justifiably be suspected of bias, you think, few doubt that we are the smartest creatures on the planet. Well, I guess we're the few, and our listeners are some of the few who doubt that. Many animals have special cognitive abilities that allow them to excel in their particular habitats, but they do not often solve novel problems. Now, of course, those novel problems I'm editorializing are devised by us in our novel environment. Some animals, of course, do, and we call them intelligent, but none are as quick-witted as we are.
Well, that's an
Scientific
opinion.
American, the assumption there, the arrogance of that assumption. And then
I would like to point out that I don't know for a fact that we are or aren't the most intelligent. I'll say that even if we are the most intelligent, there's a difference between being the most intelligent and acting the most intelligent, because we don't act intelligent. And if we glorify spending time on trivial matters, that I often think about animals that truly do have a purpose can't be bothered to waste their existences on the things that we think are so incredible. They have an actual purpose. They're pursuing them. If animals stopped living and sat around pondering and philosophizing, then maybe they'll start coming up with these abstract thoughts. But they're too busy living a meaningful life.
Oh, I would agree with that, and a life of beauty. But those are our subjective calls, of course.
Oh God, here's NC dropping the quotes.
Is animal intelligence the elephant in the room? I guess it is today, along with the cow. Anyway, and then the last one, I just Skylar, because Skylar is more science. Well, maybe you are, Skylar. You're more science-minded than me. I just wince at most scientific studies, even though, again, science is fantastic, and I'm all for it. Despite what Bobby Brainworm says. But this is Nature Human Behavior on Nature.com. So this is a scientific abstract, and the title is "The Computational Basis of Hierarchical and Counterfactual Information Processing," which I know is a subject you've been wondering about when you woke up this morning. And here's the abstract, and then I'm done with my little prepared stuff, because this is a George Carlin routine that I couldn't write. And I'm going to read it thusly. Humans solve complex, multi-stage decision problems using hierarchical and counterfactual strategies. Here, we designed a task that reliably engages these strategies and conducted hypothesis-driven experiments to identify the computational constraints that give rise to them. We found 3 key constraints: a bottleneck in parallel processing that promotes hierarchical analysis. I mean, that speaks for itself, don't you think? A compensatory but capacity-limited counterfactual process. And third, working memory noise that reduces counterfactual fidelity. To test whether these strategies are computationally rational, that is, given such constraints, we trained recurrent neural networks under systematically varied limitations. Only recurrent neural networks subjected to all 3 constraints reproduced human-like behavior. Further analysis revealed that hierarchical, stay with me, folks, this is the best part, counterfactual and post-dictive strategies, typically viewed as distinct, lie along a continuum of rational adaptations. And
I
these
can't take more.
findings suggest, last sentence, these findings suggest that human decision strategies may emerge from a shared set of computational limitations, offering a unifying framework for understanding the flexibility and efficiency of human cognition. I have to go to the bathroom and throw up. I'll be right back. Enjoy.
No,
Science.
you don't get to fucking
I don't get
drop
to
that
grab
bomb
the
and
skirt
leave.
and walk out of the room.
No.
So, folks, I mean, it just like you can't make that. I wish I could write that way. I should have ChatGPT write my next nature human behavior abstract based on some, I don't even know what the assumption. Well, I guess I do understand the title, but wow.
Look how many viewers we lost while you read that.
Sorry.
Okay, here, folks, I'm ending it with us showing when the Homo sapien enters the scene to talk to the camera about the observations of the human. I'm sorry, but the cow looks like the superior species.
You're going to play this?
Yeah, because
Excellent.
just watch the human's
The
actions.
nature, then you protect yourself, and
He's so
nature
awkward.
diversity is the key.
Do you have any
to
idea
survive
how
on
to
this
interact
planet.
with another creature?
Thank you.
The poor lower life form is tolerating the stupidity of the most intelligent. Wow, Jack, you really read all that crap and then walked away from us. I don't think that's fair. An honest doubter. I think I've already refuted the point as much as I can and text briefly. Calories in, calories out for raising cattle is laughably bad. 100 to 1. Inefficient on just feed to output calories of beef. I guess you're responding to Red Farmer, who has us all quite confused. I don't know which direction you're going or where you're coming from. Well, everyone, thanks for being here. Red Farmer, I'm going to be rude. I mean, the inedible crap that you're talking about exists because of the livestock industry. That's why it's being produced. It's not a failure. It wasn't ever intended for humans. And then, we better give it to cows because it didn't turn out well.
And Red Farmer, I mean, are you?
No, we're not going to let a troll run the show.
I agree, but it's just so silly.
I'm so confused. Is it a troll or not a troll?
I guess I'm naive enough to think that some people aren't trolls, and he actually believes that he's just irritated. But whatever, have someone on sometime and have a discussion. But that would be a whole nother show and weird. Anyway, thank you for, not that you had a choice, but letting me read that. I'm just a word person, and I'm just fascinated with unintentional gobbledygook with big words. It's just fascinating to me that people do this stuff, and actually they're getting paid to do it, Skylar, right? They get money, a research grant to write that.
Yeah.
So this is in Skylar Thomas of Watching Humans on the Watching Humans channel on YouTube. I'm Jack Gescheit, the talkative fellow from the Tree Spirit Project. Oh, and if I may, today is Tuesday. This Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and this is on the events page on my Tree Spirit Project website, I will be engaging in a really interesting, I'm looking forward to it, a Zoomed panel talk, 6 different vegan activists sponsored by the San Francisco Vegan Society. And we're going to be talking about the power of truth in advocacy. But 6 different voices with a moderator, and we have not done this before. It's a new format. It's an hour and a half, so you can watch it live with us Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific time, or there will, of course, be a recording if you sign up for it, and you can sign up for it on my event page, treespiritproject.com events. This Saturday, panel talk, 6 vegan activists, including me, Leah Wilborn, who's a regular guest with us, and 4 others. I'll go into it maybe next week. No, I can't. It's going to be after the fact, so this is the only chance to promote it. Thank you for letting me say all that.
Where and what time?
It's on Zoom, 9 o'clock in the morning this Saturday, the 31st. and the link is on my event page. It's also elsewhere, but it's just easier to tell people. treespiritproject.com events, and it's on the top of that page right now. And I put it in my newsletter today or last night as well.
But there's not an actual physical.
It's a Zoom. It's a Zoom. It will
Zoom
be a Zoom discussion. Yeah, a webinar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said earlier that I would put the tax deductible link, since I was bold enough to beg earlier, and here it is again, and I'll put it in the description.
Corinne says, I don't eat grass, but I'm guessing you smoked it, baby. I can say that because I know Corinne. I'm a fan.
Thank you for those who donated today. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks to Veronika.
Yes, thank you, Veronika. I would love one follow-up to have been when in her 13 years of age she began demonstrating this behavior.
Well, or how about 100 other intelligent things she'd done before she got her mouth on a broomstick?
Yeah, or before the human put down the smartphone and actually looked up to witness it.
I wonder if the average person knows that cows live 20 years or more, but in the industry they're killed usually at 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. They're all killed as children, in effect.
Right.
For this old girl, I guess maybe she's retired and they have money in Austria to feed her and keep her alive, which is very sweet. So maybe she's not got a miserable life. Who knows? Vegan for Life says, Clara. Yes, ma'am, indeed. To tune in, by the way, Clara, you're new to the show, I think, to this Saturday, 9 o'clock, 6 different vegan activists, very different voices, all in different areas of vegan activism.
Send me the link and I'll put it in the description.
Just treespiritproject.com.
Email it to me and
Okay.
I'll put it in the description.
Will do. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.